All right. All right. Well, either way,
enough of the peanut gallery.
I know you're going to enjoy this cavern. It's a fairly unique cavern. The way that it was formed, the river formed geology. There's only a handful of caves in the United States open to the public that formed the same way as this one. It is the only one in Texas that formed this way, that is open to the public. So we'll talk about that, and we've got a whole bunch of history to talk about. The cave was being used starting with the Native Americans hundreds of years before settlers were even in Texas, and it's been used ever since. So we'll talk about all that as well. Need to go over these rules before we go down there. I'm going to go through them really quickly since there's just 4 of you. We have to talk about this third one regardless, more in the cave. But anyway, just breeze through them. So stay with me as we go from stop to stop. Stay on the paved pathway. Please do not touch anything in the cave. Walls, ceilings, formations. No tobacco use of any sort in the cave. No chewing gum, vaping. You can have plain unflavored water in the cave. That is it. No food or drink otherwise. There's a trash can right by the cave entrance if you need it. You can take pictures with flash throughout the cave. There's one exception to the flash. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but overall it is fine to use flash throughout the cave. What that really says is we don't allow video in the cave. I don't really care about that either. I'm not going to say anything as long as you're paying attention to where you're walking. I don't want to see you walking around staring at your phone or camera. Very dangerous thing to do in a cave, particularly. Okay, respect our wildlife in the cave. What sort of animals y'all think we have?
I hope bats.
Bats. Excellent. That's the one I wanted to hear. We do not have bears, wild cats, anything like that in the cave, typically. No, too cold for the snakes down there as well. Plenty up top, but not in the cave. So bats are about it. They're really cute little guys, about that big. They're brown. The species does not hang out with each other. They're loners, so it's like one here, one over there. And they tend to look like overcooked chicken nuggets sticking to the ceiling. We call them chicken nuggets of the cave. So you're gonna love them. I love bats, all bats, they're great. And we'll talk all about them when we see them. Keep the noise levels down, that's mostly for the bats so we don't disturb them. And also that's the exception to the camera flash. If you're taking a picture of a bat right there, we don't shine any lights on them, dim flashlight, and definitely not a camera flash. However, they did say we can reflect light onto them, so I have a reflector, and when we're talking about bats, I'll light it up for you.
Okay.
All right, that's it for the rules. 3 quick things, and we'll head down. We stop at stop signs to talk about things, history and geology. Just want to send you forward, don't go past those. We mentioned one time only. It is okay to tip your tour guide after if you'd like to. There is no obligation or expectation there whatsoever. There's just none of us here are state employees, so if you'd like to, we can. We just let you know that up front because it can be uncomfortable to ask if you can afterwards. Stop signs, we did that, and tickets, I'll take, since it's just 4 of you, anytime you want to give them to me. Normally we take them when we get into the cave, but why do? In the U.S. open to the public are classified as solution caves, and they form when it rains. The water picks up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and from the soil as it drains through, making it acidic. It's called carbonic acid. A very weak acidic solution, but it's enough over a long time to dissolve fairly soft limestone. So that's acidic water slowly eats at the rock, and over a long period of time it eats out a cave with or without water in it. They're called solution caves because they form with that solution of acidic water. Naturally, those types of caves take a whole lot longer to form than this type of cave, and those other caves typically go a lot deeper into the ground. These are usually more level, as is this one, and it goes down about 130 feet from where we're at now. So it's still deep, but it's not near what some caves are. And we're gonna go down to 120 feet today, and we'll be able to see 130 right there.
And how far is it?
We're gonna go back a half a mile. The cave actually goes about 7 miles.
7 miles, okay, great.
We'll stop at a half a mile.
Great.
And that was further in, and there was another opening to that section, and that is what everyone used up until the Civilian Conservation Corps, or CCC, came here and started digging out the cave and building the park. And the CCC, of course, was a jobs program back in the Depression. They made national parks, state parks, built roads, bridges, dams, fought forest fires, all kinds of work like that throughout the U.S. and its territories. But they built this entire park with the more than 3,000 dump truck loads of debris they hauled out of the cave with manual tools, just like in that picture there. They built everything, I should clarify, except for that main big building that was built in the 60s. And in addition to everything that you consider to be in the park, they also laid the base for 15 miles worth of Park Road 4 out here with that debris, and they built a 3-mile levee 5 feet high over there to keep the cave from flooding as much as it normally would. Yep, a lot of... Dolomite limestone has a whole different look to it. We'll talk about that later. This front half of the cave is Ellenberger limestone. Ellenberger limestone is some of the oldest on the planet. It's usually found about 10 to 17,000 feet down here in Texas. The Llano uplift pushed it up in this immediate surrounding area. It is a bit rough and jagged everywhere. We will be ducking under some low-hanging rocks over the pathway. I will warn you about most of them, but some of you are taller than I am. You might notice rocks that I don't. Ultimately, you're all responsible for your own head in this cave, and no injuries are allowed on this tour, especially this one. This is my last tour on my Friday. So, okay, anyway, also watch your step. It's slippery and spots, potholes and bumps here and there. Just always watch your head and your footing. All right. We're going to talk about how formations form here. We can go into the types of them later if you like. You know, stalactites, stalagmites, flowstone, dripstone, they all form basically the same way, and that's what we'll talk about at the moment. There are some you can look at, though, while we're talking about, and that's flowstone coming down the wall. Kind of has a flow look to it, hence the name flowstone. There's a smaller patch. All right, we're gonna head in. We'll stop at stop signs, talk about history and geology. And we're not supposed to stop for our bath.
There you go. They look like giant chicken nuggets on the ceiling. Went 400 yards that way. The original entrance people were using was just a little further this way. In the 1920s, people could pretty easily get to this area from that other entrance. Ladies would sit on this formation, on this hump right here, get their pictures taken. They called it the Queen's Throne.
Yeah.
Of course, they didn't know any better back then. It wasn't until the late 50s or 60s that they realized you shouldn't be touching formations. They would also, of course, break off stalactites from the top for souvenirs and carve names and dates into the base, so it is rather well damaged. But we still want to treat it with respect as a formation. It does get water to it when it rains a lot. Geologists say it may reactivate someday if we leave it alone. So that's the Queen's Throne. This is the Queen's Throne Room, and that is the Queen's Watchdog,
There you go.
which we fully believe is a natural water-formed rock formation. I know it is hard to believe that could be natural. The CCC worker sitting on the right here is sitting in that general area right there. The CCC worker sitting in the middle, a little hard to see, but he's sitting there, sitting on this rock jutting out right there. And the tunnel ahead is this archway that in the picture you can see is full of mud to within about 2 feet of the ceiling. And here it was probably up over our heads. Some places the cave was full of mud jam-packed all the way to the ceiling. Some places like it here, not so much. But overall it was really full of dried hard mud they had to pick at with pickaxes. There are pickaxe marks all over the walls and ceilings. They did not damage any formations, that's what's most important, but they did in some places chew up the walls quite a bit. We just say they added some character and history to the cave. All right, and there on the left is a sign that points up, kind of a neat view into the attic as we go by. Yeah, we feed
You
them.
hear them tapping, yeah.
We feed them through these holes for a while and then typically just stop.
Yeah.
No, of course not. This is just covering an opening 100 yards that way. It goes outside. The wall keeps out most of the animals and water from coming in right here. And the holes there, that's pressure relief for the water so it doesn't knock the wall over.
How deep are we right now?
About 50 feet.
Okay.
All right, if you need to hold on to anything through here, that's fine. Be careful, please. Add some extra light there too. Isn't that a nice view? I like that up
The
there.
way it's sculpted out like that
Yep.
is really nice.
And I think the bridge underneath of it adds the extra.
So, what's the ceiling made of?
It's all dolomite limestone, even this lower stuff. It's just a
it's
different
just-
layer of dolomite. It might have some different minerals in it, different composition, and it might have had different erosion tactics done to it.
Right.
This is bat room 2, big black ceiling up there, lots of bats hung out here. This tunnel on the right, the CCC got all excited when they found it, thought it was gonna be a great tunnel. We don't have very many side tunnels in this cave. They dug it out, it just dead ends around the corner. They named it the Cave of Disappointment. Yeah, this tunnel ahead, they appropriately named Lumbago Alley. Lumbago being a condition of pain in the lower back that can be caused from stooping over for too long. So that's what we'll be doing for about 60 yards. The pathway in here can be slippery if you step off the black mats, so please stay on the black mats throughout. The ceiling is mostly flat in there, but at the far end there's a little formation hangs down right in the middle of the pathway, so watch your head there. And at the bottom of this hill, you'll see a tunnel come out from the left. That is the end of the third and final tunnel of the Wild Cave Tour. The tunnel went in before the gunpowder room. It comes out down here.
Okay.
Those of you who've seen the old classic Mel Brooks comedy, Young Frankenstein. Mind you, we've been calling it the tongue. Or
It looks like a
Shaq's
giant
slipper.
tongue. And this one behind you is called the tongue. Big giant one. Big giant tongue.
What do they call it?
A big giant tongue.
And I'll tell you three more things here that we call it, and one the CCC named it. We've got a big elephant head here on the looking to the left from the right.
The right side, the hole for the eye, one side.
Mm-hmm.
Elephant head, pterodactyl or pterodon
That's the
skull.
one I was seeing. Oh my goodness.
And the creepy stuff, the CCC named Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
So they come up with the nice elegant names and we just have, the tongue,
The tongue.
the elephant head.
The elephant head. Dante's Inferno. Isn't that a movie?
Book. I don't know if they made a movie out of it, but it's a book.
Yeah, they did
Dante,
make it. But
leave worthless.
They have no value because they're so soft. They're only slightly firmer than a human fingernail. They formed in stagnant water that was rich in calcium carbonate and carbon dioxide. And you all probably know carbon dioxide is what makes a fizzy drink fizzy, such as this Topo Chico up here. And then just like any fizzy drink, if you leave it open for a long time, the fizz leaves. That's what happened in here to make these crystals. The carbon dioxide escaped, leaving behind the calcium carbonate, which does not stay dissolved very well without the carbon dioxide. And that causes the ions of calcium carbonate to combine on the walls and crystallize into tiny little crystals. But because they formed underwater, they kept growing in size for as long as they were underwater. So the fact that they are smaller up top and get bigger as they come down, and here that tells us the water slowly receded, the lower levels were underwater longer, have more time to grow. The ones in Crystal City were all about the same size. That water quickly drained out of there at some point. The hole was ruptured and all the water drained out, and that was it.
Okay.
A lot of people ask about the ceiling up here. It looks like a slab of concrete. It's not. It's all natural dolomite. If I put my light up there, you can see the crack in the dolomite. Yeah. And it looks a bit more natural, yeah? And this room actually did not form the way the rest of the cave did. That crack goes the length of this room because we're standing in a fissure. This
Okay.
room just opened up at some point, and water poured in, crystals formed, and then at some point the water drained out. The rest of the cave was that fast flowing water that made that. This was just opened up.
Stagnant.
Yep. Anything else? Questions, comments?
Anything about the water bottle there?
Yeah, that water.
That-
bottle.
That was like,
Yes, that was the carbon dioxide that makes it fizzy. And so it was carbon dioxide, the same substance in here, that when it escaped, just like it will from a bottle of carbonated stuff, it caused the crystals to grow.
Okay,
So it's a prop on how the,
it's just because the lid is up.
That was carbonated water.
yes.
It was like fizzy water, carbonated water,
Right.
you know, like soda, but soda water.
No, I just thought that it has some other thing because the lid came off, maybe it was just like.
Look,
Yeah. Yep, nope, it was,
It's just,
yeah.
it's beautiful.
That would make sense too, but
Yeah.
just a prop for explanation.
Dan Hurd would love this.
All right, Rock of Many Names has an evil twin over here. Sorry, you need to stay down longer for this one. But
That's an
there's
evil twin.
an evil twin, yes. There's a railing on the left though, and the highest point at the bottom is on the right.